What's up, buddy? How's it going?
What's up? How's it going?
How's what are you doing? Hello there.
Hello, Governor. Hello, Mayor Governor.
So I asked Twitter for some possible topics of conversation. And were there any you wanted to cover? Any that you thought were particularly enticing?
I mean, I think 99% of the questions that were, well, no, I would say that 80% of the questions asked were about food, food related.
Well, you are. I mean, Sato from My Hero Academia, right?
Oh, God.
I would say that's
Jay.
the character that represents you the most, right?
That's my spirit animal. People are actually going to be thinking that now. Like, that's the first thing that we said. So he's Sato.
No. Okay, so for those of you who don't know Dave, he's a very, very good cook, very passionate about food. But don't think that food is all that he's about. In fact, I would describe him. I think I described you as you're like Eraserhead and All Might combined into one person.
Damn, Superman and Batman.
It's kind of like that. It's like you've got the kindness of All Might, but also the poisonous edge of an Eraserhead. But even Eraserhead is nice. Deep down.
Yeah, I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, but I think we've also described, like, if you were a Pokemon type, you'd be Poison type.
I think, yeah.
So just keep that in mind, people. He's not all about food, although we may be talking about food in a second.
Yeah.
What did you want to start with?
So yeah, 80% of it is food, and I think the other 20% is why my username is Scrotum Nose.
Oh my god!
I mean,
every time I tag you in something like, did you know his name? Yeah, really?
Scrotum means sure? Balls. It's balls, man.
Okay. Well, besides those ones, any non-food ones you wanted to cover before we get into, if we get into food, like anything that you wanted to, that you thought was interesting.
Okay. Let's start it out. Let's start it out in food, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Okay.
The first thing, I'm not sure if you've asked this on your other programs, but your top 3 fast food choices. Ooh. Your go-to fast food. Like, if you were like, oh, it's Saturday, I'm fucking hungry. Cursing is okay.
What do you think?
I just have to ask. I don't know. It's like maybe...
Yeah, absolutely. The answer is absolutely not. Let's see. My top 3 fast food choices. It's funny. Actually, the previous episode we went into fast food, but that's okay. I don't think I talked about my top 3. Or do regional... Is it available right now, or is like regional?
Yeah, across. Let's say regional. It's like an all region sort of deal. If you like, don't let any East Coast or like Midwestern chains, like, don't leave that out of the running.
Ooh, okay. Well, you know my number 1 is Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake's my number 1. This is where it gets tricky, because it's like, sometimes I wonder, like, for example, if I had access to Shake Shack regularly, would that be like, would I get sick of it, or would I love it just as much every time, right? Like, Steak and Shake, I know I would never get sick of, because there used to be one near Anne Marie's apartment in Michigan, and we used to go all the time, and I loved it every single time. Whereas Shake Shack, I only get it every now and then I get the chance to eat there, right? Same thing with, like, actually, I do love Culver's, but have you ever had, we've talked about Culver's. You've had Culver's, right?
I have not had Culver's. I've heard about it.
Okay.
No Culver's.
Culver's is the butter burger and their smashed patties. They put a pat of butter on the patty, and you can get cheese curds with it. It's really fucking good. But
was that a Chicago?
It's a Midwest thing, and I think maybe East Coast, but it's definitely Midwest for sure. It's legit, but I don't know if Culver's would be my top 3, because Steak and Shake scratches the itch of smash patties. So I'm gonna say Steak and Shake. McDonald's, it's got to be in there somewhere, just because I just always am craving it. So I think that'll be my number 3.
Yeah, I feel the same way where it's like I feel like I have to respect the M, like McDonald's. Like it has to be in there because I'm always like latently craving it,
Yes.
but I'm never like this is what I need to have in my belly right now. Like
Exactly.
it's not a primary craving, but it's always like it's like a consistent secondary or tertiary.
It's always in your brain, no matter what. Like even now, McDonald's is like 2% of my brain, even though we're not. Well, now we're talking about it, so it's like 80%. But even when I'm not thinking about McDonald's actively, it's always there in the back of my mind.
Like to me, McDonald's is like the queen. Like if somebody asked me who my favorite bands were, I would say bands. But I think I would never say Queen, but like it's like the queen of like fast foods for me because like I always love Queen and I always love hearing Queen on the radio and I like hum it a lot, but I'm never like, oh no, that's like my favorite band of all time.
You're always trying to think of like cooler stuff or something.
Yeah.
So I think my number 2, that's tough because I love Jack in the Box, but that's not gonna be top 3. Wendy's is very good, but even that, I think that wouldn't be above. That might be like right below McDonald's. So, it's gotta be Burger King. No, let's see. It's
it's a funny joke.
I'm gonna make McDonald's number 2 because it's just I have it all the time and I know I love it, and I might put Shake Shack at number 3 because every time I have Shake Shack, it's very good. And now. Would I feel that, especially because you can get the one with like the what is it, the cherry peppers and like the bacon, like that version, or you can get the fucking the smokes, the shroom, like the portobello like fried shroom patty. Like man, those hit the damn spot every time. So, but see. It's like it's untested waters, right? I've not had it enough, so I'm thinking actually, maybe I'll put Wendy's as my 3. I might put Wendy's there, just for.
I gotta say, I'm surprised that I thought that Taco Bell was going to be part of that.
Oh wait! We're just saying all fast food at all?
Yeah, just like fast food, not just like a burger. Not just a burger.
Get the fuck out of here, Wendy's. I think it's gonna be, if it's all fast food, Taco Bell.
Toasted cheddar.
Taco Bell is gonna be number 3, for sure. Toasted cheddar chalupa. I mean, besides that, the Crunchwrap Supreme, steak quesadilla, cheesy gritty to crunch. It's classics, So I think that's going to be my top 3 then. How about you?
So your top 3 is Taco Bell,
No.
McDonald's.
It's Steak and Shake, McDonald's, Taco Bell.
I mean, I was going from 3 to 1.
I see.
Yeah, Steak and Shake. For me, I think that my third is definitely McDonald's. I would say that I crave their burgers. I mean, it scratches an itch occasionally, but when I think of breakfast, there is no other name. Like, it has to be McDonald's hash brown and McGriddle, like, sort of combo.
Yeah.
Like no other fast food breakfast can even touch McDonald's on that front, to me. Second is Yoshinoya.
What? Really?
Yeah, second is Yoshinoya.
Okay.
I love Yoshinoya, and I don't know why. I can imagine why, but it's such a polarizing thing. Like I was just having this conversation last night. It's like,
okay,
I was asking some work people, and they didn't know the love that I have for Yoshinoya, and somebody else asked like, "What do you think of Yoshinoya?" And unanimously, everybody was like, "It's fucking garbage, man. It's like eating out of a dumpster." And that's not the first time I've heard that. I hear that quite often. Or the reaction when I say that I love Yoshinoya is like what's wrong? Like, don't you like regular food? Like, don't you love yourself?
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's something that's like real simple about like a beef bowl. It ticks all. I mean, I think as a Filipino, it tastes very, very similar to a common like Filipino dish called bistec,
Okay.
which is basically, like really thin, like Philly cheesesteak, sliced thin beef, cooked in like, soy sauce adjacent marinade and served on top of rice.
So fucking hungry right now, but go ahead, continue. Yeah.
It's so good. Like and going to Japan and having the OG Yoshinoya and being able to get like a fresh egg yolk on it and like have like green onions and stuff.
Okay, well,
like it's really, really
listen,
good.
We're not talking about the Japanese version of Yoshinoya.
Yeah, no. I've only had the Japanese version of Yoshinoya maybe twice.
Okay.
Every other time has been, like a filthy corner of like a suburb, a filthy corner of like a city. And it's like, in between like a cigarette shop, like a smoke shop and like a laundromat, there's like a dirty Yoshinoya's and you walk in and, your feet are sticking on the ground because some asshole has like spilled like some Coke on the floor. Yeah. The people behind the counter don't give a shit at all and don't realize like the gold that they're keeping in like, their food storage. Like they don't give a shit. They're not making the food with love, but it's still really fucking good to me. And like you can get like the ginger packets, like having like white rice and like, that sliced ginger, like to me that'll make almost anything good. But
interesting.
Good shit, man.
I've only had it like maybe once or twice, and I mean I'm not saying it's like disgusting. It's not disgusting, but to me it's just mediocre. That's it. That's all it is to me. It wouldn't even. I don't think it would even touch top. Okay, 50 might be harsh, but maybe. I don't know. Now I'm like, I'm gonna make
how many fast food restaurants are there? 200? It won't touch like the top 190.
It would be probably in the hundreds because I don't think I could eat. I've even eaten at 100 fast food chains, but I don't know.
I could eat Yoshinoya like every single day, like for the rest of my life.
Oh my
like,
god.
I love it. I love it that much.
That is amazing to me. Okay, what's your number one?
My number one is Wendys.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Number one is Wendys, hands down, not even like no contest. Real beef, man.
No, it's good.
No, it's not. I don't give a shit about real beef, but to me, I think the ratio of the Baconator is that's it. Like the ratio, like I feel like a burger to me is very dependent on the burger to bun ratio.
I see.
Everybody's goalposts are different, but for me, Wendy's has it perfectly. Like when I bite into a Baconator, that's as much meat as I want in a bite of burger.
Okay.
The fries are, I'd say I'm pretty neutral on the fries because I think McDonald's fries are probably better. I think
they're 1,000,000 times better.
Yeah, I don't really. It's all about the Baconator for me. And my addendum to Yoshinoya is that you have to get the beef bowl. Everything else in there is just a bastardized version of Panda Express. Like, don't get the honey chicken, don't get the orange chicken, don't even get your beef bowl with vegetables. Just get beef and rice, and that's it. You can get a drink.
Like, okay, I can understand like Yoshinoya if like because it's probably like the same sort of thing as like, hey, if we had Japanese konbini here, kind of that kind of thing, right? Just get like a quick, cheap Asian food that tastes pretty good quick. Like,
yeah.
Is that basically where you're coming from?
I guess so. I mean,
or you think that
maybe
beef bowl is just so delicious? Did you eat this as a kid?
I never I never ate Yoshinoya.
This is so baffling to me.
But I think it's like the flavor is so close to meals that I've had in the Philippines.
Okay, then that's it. I understand.
But
then okay,
it's not like it's not like every single time I order Yoshinoya, I get it, and I'm like, this is so fucking good. I'm not like, well, it's there. It's comfortable food. It's always like, oh boy, I'm going to eat some Yoshinoya. It's a good day today.
Maybe I should, maybe I need to go with you at some point. Let's just go to Yoshinoya.
I think the contact high of seeing how much I love it is going to make it taste better to you.
But you only I got the regular beef bowl. I mean, it was fine. Like, like not offensive, not, like perfectly fine. But, maybe, maybe I'll feel your aura radiate from you.
Yeah.
And, like,
there's...
make it, yeah.
There's no mystery. There's no mystery here. There isn't like, like a secret next level to Yoshinoya. What you tasted is probably like that's probably it. There are no more revelations to be had, I think. I just really like the taste.
That is very interesting to me. Okay, okay. Now, I have a topic I want to cover if we don't have anything, but is there anything else on the Twitter line that you thought was like particularly interesting?
I mean, if we were on the subject of food and wanted to talk about underrated foods, for example, we could like jump off to that. But, if you like, I'm also interested to hear what kind of topics you had for talk about. I'm fine either way.
Well, actually, before I even address that one, you mentioned at the top about like, creative stuff, and then we immediately started talking about fast food. But if we go back to that, like the creative or cartoons or whatever, I mean, where did you want to go with that? Is there some direction you wanted to go?
Basically, I'm interested in talking about like, I feel like you and I are similar in the sense that like we sort of forged a path on our own assumptions.
Yeah.
And I feel like, my secret sauce in the industry has always been I don't really have much of a foundation since I'm kind of like an outsider on the thing. And like, because of that, I've been able to be very limber about like how I approach things and how I approach like structure, etc.
It's very interesting to me because you've told me this story before, but because for those of you who don't know, Dave works in cartoons, and he worked on OKKO as a storyboarder. Now you're on Craig of the Creek. What is your title right now?
I am the storyboard supervisor.
Storyboard supervisor. That's right.
Yeah, on Craig of the Creek.
And for me, I love your art, and you've clearly been drawing for a while, but that's not what you went to school for, right?
Oh no, definitely.
So
not.
just if you could quickly or not quickly, but if you can just give a recap for the listeners, like what your sort of journey was.
Sure.
It's very interesting to me.
I was I was born here in the States, in New Jersey. I went to grade school in Jersey, but I moved to the Philippines when I was like 10 or 11 years old. I moved to the Philippines in like 95. And I did high school and college in the Philippines. And when I was in college, I had the intent of like being like a computer programmer because I'm like really into video games, But and I was like, oh yeah, I want to program games. I want to make like the next StarCraft or the next Warcraft. And so I went to college for programming, and then I just sort of went with the flow. And it wasn't until my junior year of college I was like, wait a minute, this is like math. Like programming is like math with letters, and like I fucking hate math, and I'm not good at math. Like I wasn't good at programming either. Like
considering how much I know you hate math, I'm amazed you got to junior year of programming.
Well, no. The first 2 years are gen ed. Third year is when
and then you were like, wait a minute, this is math.
Yeah,
you were like,
this
fuck
is
this.
fucking math. Yeah, I just finished all my gen ed math classes in college, and I was like, yes, I never have to take another math ever again in my life. Like I had a party after my last like math class. I was like, I never have to do this again.
What did you think programming was?
I thought it was like playing video games. I want to make video games, so naturally it's like playing video games.
Yeah, you press A to make them jump, and that's how you program.
You press A on your controller to make the computer make Mario jump. But yeah, when I found out just how steeped in math and that kind of logic, that sort of meticulous logic, I would say that side of the brain, that's something that I think you would be really good at. Like, I feel like you're really good at like, crossing your T's and dotting your I's.
Okay.
But it's definitely not my wheelhouse. So I stuck with it for a year. And in my senior year, I had sort of like a quarter life crisis, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. What can I do if I'm not programming? And I thought, hey, maybe I can like do art. Maybe I can do drawing and stuff. And, I'd always like doodled as a kid.
Yeah.
I would like draw on like the margins of my notebooks, but I never actually like really thought of art as anything serious until I was panicking about like thinking about what I had to do in my life, how to make something of my life. And so I was like, oh, I'll do art, but graphic design sounds like that sounds like a respectable job, and it utilizes some of the skill set that I've got in computer science. So I went into graphic design on my last year of college, and I did that for a while, and I graduated. I scraped by. I really scraped by. I was like a terrible student, but I was able to land a job at like an advertising agency, like in the Philippines. And so I was doing ad-related stuff for a while, and it was good. Career path was good, but I really wanted to draw. Like I really wanted to do creative, or I wanted my voice to shine through, not just to like make websites or just like make art to spec,
Right.
And so I moved from the Philippines back to the States in 2006, and with the intent of being like, a concept designer. I'm going to work in games as an artist. And, I stumbled my way. I went back to Jersey. I went to like Chicago for a little while. Like, I went to Chicago because I landed a job designing Beanie Babies.
Oh yeah,
like
you told me about this. Yeah.
Yeah. Like my first art related job in the States was Beanie Baby designer. And that sounds amazing. Like on paper, like that sounds great, but that was easily the worst job I've ever had.
Why was it the worst job you ever? I actually, we have not talked about this.
Well, you would think that like there's some sort of Willy Wonka-esque like thing about like, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna design a bear and it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna make this bear with like a really big dick, dude. Yeah, it's
exactly. Right. It sounds very whimsical.
Yeah, whimsical. Yeah, but it was really more about like Beanie Babies is still kicking.
Yeah,
and I feel like for any business to like survive this long, like they're sort of like on cruising mode. Like they've got their licensing deal, so it really wasn't about creating new content as much as it was Frankensteining popular lines and making new bears that fit. Like, last quarter these bears sold well. This quarter these bears sold well. Why don't we combine those two features and we'll see how that does? It was really more of like a business marketing like sort of dealio.
Okay.
There really wasn't any sort of creativity like involved.
Gotcha.
And also the creator, Ty Warner is like the owner of Ty. He was definitely a Willy Wonka type where he was just like crazy is very harsh, maybe, I don't know, but he was an eccentric billionaire that like had like. Did I tell you about the time he gave me a car?
I was like, you should tell this story. Yeah.
Okay.
I know this story, but yeah.
So Ty Warner is at the height of Beanie Babies was the 39th richest man in America. Like he was literally a billionaire. Like he showed me this card that he got from the McDonald's Corporation because like Beanie Babies and McDonald's had like had a promotion together, and I think it's traditionally been the highest selling promotion that McDonald's has had with their Happy Meals ever.
Sure.
I'm not sure if it has been surpassed. I feel like the Pokemon thing might have surpassed that, but I don't know the stats. But it was big.
Yeah, it was
but
huge
they
at the
loved
time, yeah.
Ty so much that like he showed me this like credit card that he got from the CEO of McDonald's. And it was like this black card with an M on it. It was like a metallic like platinum black card with an M on it. And he said, "See this card?" And he talked like somebody from the 20s. Like, he talked, "Oh, gee whiz, David, check out this. Do you see this car, David? If I take this into any McDonald's across the world, I'll get a burger for free."
Holy shit. That's the dream.
Yeah, it's an unlimited McDonald's card. And like, I sort of wish he gave me that instead of the card. But basically, how the story goes is that like, I had just moved to Chicago. Well, not just. I was there for like almost a year. And I was commuting. I was taking the train, and commuting in the winter in Chicago via train is no fun at all. It's like really, really cold and snowy. So I was thinking of getting a car to get to work. And I was telling, I was just shooting the shit with Ty because being a gajillionaire with no actual obligations, he liked to go down to the art department and just like shoot the shit and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm a creative genius. Make this bear blue. Make this bear red. Good job, guys." And so we were just bantering, and I was telling him. He was telling me like, "Oh, you wouldn't believe it, You wouldn't believe it, David. I lost my car today. I lost my Jeep." And I was like, "Oh, what happened?" And he was like, I went to the hospital. I just left my vehicle in the front of the hospital and went to the front desk and I filled out some paperwork for like an hour and I came back. The car was running, he said. I left my car running outside of a hospital for an hour. And when I went back outside, it was gone. I was like, in my head, I was like, of course, you fucking idiot. Like, what do you expect? But I was like, oh, shit. Like, I'm really sorry to hear that. Ty, because I'm thinking of buying a car. I was going to take out a loan this weekend so I can get a car.
Yeah.
Because I'm sick of like commuting. And he was like, well, we'll tell you what I'll do, David. If the car turns up, it's yours. And we were like, that's funny. That'd be the day, right? It'd be great if that happened. And so, the weekend passed, and like first thing Monday morning, I'm back in my chair, like. And Ty bursts in, like, at 10 to 9, and he was, like, really beaming. He was like, David! And I was like, what's up, Ty? And he was like, you'll never believe it. My Jeep turned up. Somebody turned in my Jeep. And I was like, oh, that's great. That's awesome. I'm glad that, like, that shit never happens. Like, I can't imagine, like, it's unbelievable that somebody would return a car that they stole or whatever. And he was like, well, it looks like I better uphold my end of the bargain. And, it didn't process. I was like, wait, what? Are you? No, you were just kidding, right? He was like, no, I'm just, well, actually, I'm not going to give it to you just yet. Let me take it into the shop and let's get, a tune-up. Let's get new tires on it. Let me juice it up. And then I'll have it to you by the end of the week. And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, thanks. Yeah. And the thing is, like, Ty's like a company, like, the company is full of people that have been there for like 15 years or more. And so I could feel like the laser focused heat of everybody in the room. They're like, who's this shithead that just like fucking waltzes in here and he's got a fucking car? He's got like a golden ticket from this crazy billionaire.
Holy shit.
And he did it. He gave me a car. He gave me a Jeep Wrangler, a 2001 Jeep Wrangler.
How long did that car last you?
It lasted me all throughout Chicago.
Damn.
I took it on a road trip to New York, and then like Buffalo, like cross country, like sort of drives. It was a great car. And since he's a billionaire, like he only put like 20,000 miles on it. Like there was like no usage on it. Like it was basically a brand new car.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like it's sort of like a segue, but that was that job, and the intent was to do video game stuff. So I was doing art. It was still art, but it wasn't actual like video game development or anything like that. So in like 2009, like he laid off the entire like creative staff because like he was just like on a whim. He was like, I don't want this anymore. And so he let go of like 30 people like on a Friday. And so I was freelancing for a little while, and I eventually got a job offer in San Francisco for a social games company. Basically, I was riding the train into like, Farmville money.
Sure.
And that's what brought me to the West Coast, and that was like in 2010. And after I was working in the social games industry for a little while, I ended up working at Zynga, the guys that actually made Farmville. And that was like a fun time. I was actually making art, and I was actually doing illustration for games. But I don't know if it's because I joined Zynga of all places, but I was getting kind of disillusioned with, making art. Like I felt like a cog in the
Yeah,
machine.
yeah.
And, like, not that I was like really making my own stuff. I still wasn't like injecting my
Sure.
voice. And it wasn't until 2004, I think, that I was like, you know what? 2004, 2014, that I was like, I think maybe I could do cartoons. Like maybe cartoons. Like I know that there's some sort of overlap between creating art for games and creating art for the animation
Sure.
industry. Like, and I didn't know what it was, but I hit up some people that I knew on Twitter, some mutual friends that were in the animation industry, and like I eventually got a job at. I eventually tested on a show at DreamWorks. It was called Home. It was basically the TV or the streaming adaptation of Home with like Tip and
Yeah,
O,
yeah.
like that 3D movie with Rihanna, the super successful, really good movie that everybody knows
With
and loves.
Big Bang guy, right?
Yeah, with
Yeah,
Bazinga.
Yeah, Bazinga. Bazinga's himself, yeah.
Yeah. We were doing the TV, like the 2D animated adaptation of the 3D purple Bazinga CG movie. And it was good, but I mean, that's what brought me to the animation industry. It was like kind of like a weird stumbling because, like, there's so many people that go to, art school and, do like the internship route. I just sort of stumbled upon it via social media mostly. Like, I've gotten all my jobs off of like DeviantArt or Tumblr or, avenues that people are like, dude, don't get work through there, or like it's not a reputable place to be, making business connections. But I'm living proof.
Who
of
says
the
that? 80-year-olds? Because that is absolutely the way to network. Like in this day and age, is social media. So I have a question for you. So you drew as a kid. Did you draw your whole life up to this point? Or was there a period where you stopped drawing, or were you always doodling?
I just doodled I drew a lot when I was like 7 or 8 years old. And then it was just something that I would pass the time with when I was bored in class. I would just draw on like the margins of my notebooks and nothing like I never like studied shading or anything like that. It was just like, I'm just going to draw like, Ryu from Street Fighter performing like a fatality on like, on my teacher, just some really dumb shit.
But you were drawing pretty consistently, even just for fun, though.
Yeah, I would say, I was bored in school a lot, so I did,
When did you start your DeviantArt?
I started in 2004. Like I started like when I switched my majors to computer science, to graphic design. That was when like, I have to learn how to draw, so I joined DeviantArt at the same time. I was like, I'm gonna join DeviantArt because I want to learn how to do art. Do
you
I've
have
never
any pictures from that time, from 2004? Do you still?
I have never deleted a single drawing. Like you can see, my entire ass is on the internet.
If I go to your DeviantArt right now, I can see your earliest drawings.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, you can.
I'm gonna do that right now, actually, if you don't mind.
It's go ahead, go do it. It's not my fault if your eyes bleed.
No, not like in a. I'm genuinely curious to see like where were you at when you like decided, hey, I'm going to, because you know my whole backstory, right? We've talked about this.
Yeah.
So it's like, I often when I talk to a lot of like creative people, especially people who were like, I have like no idea how I'm gonna get into this, but I want to get into this. You just kind of start doing it and see where it goes, right? Okay. So I'm seeing your early stuff here, dude. I love that you keep this up because I keep everything up on my voice Tumblr as well. My old voice, it's all there because it's like, you can literally listen and hear me get better over time. And it's gonna make me cringe, like if I hear my old stuff, but I think it's valuable for creative, aspiring creative people. Oh shit! What are you linking me?
That was the second thing that I ever uploaded on DeviantArt.
And then even for me though, I'm like, looking at your oldest stuff on your, for me, I was never, and I know, yes, you can get better at drawing and blah 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 blah. But as someone who never had a passion for it, or I was never even the type to like doodle or on the edges or anything like that. It's far above anything I could have done. But the sheer, as I'm just scrolling down, and I'm sure you've done this before, or maybe you don't because you don't like to see. But have you ever gone and like scrolled down to the bottom and seen how you've progressed? Because I imagine it must be.
Oh no, I love seeing where I've come from.
Yeah. It's pretty astonishing. Like I love seeing that in creative people. Like especially if they keep all this. I mean, dude, like okay, so he's showing me a like it's called Anime Cliche 01, but listen, like even this, if I could have drawn this ever, I'd be like,
I mean,
I'd be like, this is pretty good.
full disclosure, that might have been I might have traced that. I may have traced that.
Okay.
I'm looking at it now and I'm like, I don't know. That looks like the composition on that seems a little bit. I mean, those Photoshop leaf like brush, like that was all me. That was a Dave original, but like it looks too good for me to have actually done on my own.
But dude, I'm just scrolling up, and like it's growing up. It's growing up and growing up, and that's always really cool to see in a creative person. So okay, that's interesting to me. Like I never, because I know you'd been on DeviantArt forever. I know you kind of had a quote unquote late start. I don't think there's such thing as a late start. I think it's just a matter of like, hey, you decide you want to like do a thing. Okay, yeah, go for it. Like, and I always tell people like, there's no, whether you get paid to do something or not. I don't think it. I mean, it matters for your livelihood, but like in terms of creative passion and pursuit, just fucking do it for fun first anyway.
Yeah.
But okay, so was it from home to KO, or were there shows in between there?
Yeah, it was. So I was on home as like sort of like it was more or less like a storyboard revisionist. Like I was taking cues from the supervising director. It wasn't really my own voice. I was basically like the hands of another more experienced veteran artist, sort of teaching me the ropes. KO was my first like full-on storyboarding job. That was just my voice and nothing else.
Now, when you were because KO is one of those shows where it's board driven, so you're basically writing it not almost, but you are like writing the jokes, and they give you an outline, but a lot of it is heavily influenced by you and controlled by you.
Yeah.
Like, did you have fear going into it?
Oh god, like that I had fear the entire length of my tenure at OKKO. Like I think I've got like a bit of like a inferiority, like sort of complex that I never went to school for this. Like I never went to school, and there are all these people that did senior theses and people that actually do animation. Like all I drew was like just bullshit. Like I never like animated a thing prior to joining the animation industry. Like I never even like finished like a comic. I didn't even have like narrative chops like going into the industry as well. And so I was like, I not inferiority. It was imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Right. Was what I meant to say. I was like, I would say that my first year on KO was me holding my breath and thinking like, when is the other shoe going to drop? When are they going to realize that they've hired a fake? That like, when are they going to realize that like, oh shit, we made a mistake. This person doesn't actually know anything about what they're doing.
It's so funny to me that you say that because I watched early KO and when I saw your episodes with Hill, and I was like, this is fucking great. Like this is, and not only is it great, but clearly I can see like both of you guys as like clear influence on it, which is so. I love seeing that, in board-driven shows. Like, I like going, oh, okay, like this is a Dave episode.
That's
This
them.
is a yeah, that joke there, that that art there absolutely screams them. Like I really like seeing that. So yeah, imposter syndrome's crazy because it's like I look at it as an outsider. I'm like, damn, he seems like he's been doing it like. He must have been doing boarding for a while now, but
I'm just a really good liar.
yeah. Well, I think also I think you're just. I think you have a good sense of what's good. That's the most general way of saying it, but I think that a discerning eye, I think, which I think helps.
I feel like on the subject of that, I feel like that's something that everybody has. I just think that
Really?
it's a matter of shame to me. Like I
Are you
feel
talking
like
about imposter syndrome?
oh no. I mean like having a good eye. Like I feel like that has everything to do with like having the shamelessness to say this is something that I like and I'm gonna double down on this. You know. I feel like that trips up so many people, and they end up making really like safe choices. And I think safe choices are choices that like inevitably just like they don't rise to the top. Like they always like what am I trying to say? Safe choices are safe because it doesn't make you stick out from the crowd, etc.
And hearing your imposter syndrome, like I don't feel imposter syndrome anymore, but there was definitely a period. Okay, that's not true. I do feel imposter syndrome whenever I try like a new thing, like if I do something like when I did live action something for the first time, or whatever new. If it's a brand new venture, of course I'm gonna feel it. But like with voiceover, this is like my dirty secret. I've never taken a class, any acting class in my life, any VO class. I know this is like in the industry they're like, what, you've never, you should, like, you take it, but I've learned by doing. That's, now I will admit I probably would have gotten better faster if I had taken classes, but that wasn't an option for me at the time. It was like, I don't have the money or the I don't live there, or like there, so I have to just kind of learn by doing. And it was that hyperbolic time chamber, let's just do it one a day, and that was like my hard knocks self training, I guess. But so that's
Sure.
I feel a sort of kinship to you in that, like, no formal training, but we both got in somehow. And I think we're both doing okay.
Yeah. I think that like what a person lacks in formal training, if they start late, for example, they more than make up for with like hunger. Like it's
sure.
one of those things where I think where insecurity can be a powerful fuel for you to like close the gap. I feel like since I never had any academic like things to back myself up, I had no safety net of saying like, well, I finished college, shit like that. I finished art school or whatever. I feel like I was in a position where I had to hustle even harder, just so people couldn't say shit.
There was definitely a hunger, but I think also, if I'm just gonna like jerk us off for a second here, like knowing you, like, and this is going back to sort of like the discerning eye, like, I think you just have good taste in like animation in general, right? And then for me, it's like, because we're both passionate fans of the medium, I was big into listening to voice acting as a kid, even before I knew I ever wanted to do it as an adult. Like I would like, very like study like, oh, who is that voice? Okay, oh, that's Jeff Bennett, or that's Tom Kenny. What do they do in this cartoon? And I would recognize the thing. And so for me, it's like, I know what a good performance sounds like, and I know what bad performance sounds like. And so like I am aware of the standard that I try to hold myself to, because I know, not to say that I'm as good or whatever as like, legendary voice actors, but I know what I consider to be, good. And I think, that would certainly help you, right? Like, with what is good animation, what is good, dialogue. I think, not everybody has good taste in things, but I know, as your friend, that I believe you strongly have, a good sense of taste of, like, in creative shit. And I think that absolutely is a benefit to anyone in a creative field, regardless of their background or experience.
Yeah, I just think it just boils down to, like, going all in on the stuff that you really like.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like when you don't have that, that's when a voice becomes boring, when, like, you don't want to take a leap and say, like, you know what? I just really love feet. I don't know.
Now,
I don't know.
we kind of got your.
I'm not saying that I really love feet.
Okay, cool. Do you want to just shout it out some more?
I'm Dave, not a foot lover.
Okay, got it.
It's definitely gonna work for me.
Now that we've got your bio sort of out of the way, not out of the way. I thought it was. I actually think it's very interesting to hear. Anything you want? And I always try to give the guest anything you just want to talk about or bring up.
No, this is pretty much in the wheelhouse of, like, I did want to talk about creative stuff, and I think it's also interesting, like, plumbing the depths of, like, since I'm, like, bicultural, like, I was born here. So I have, like, an American, like, I was raised as an American child, but there's an equal part of me that was also raised as, like, a Filipino child, like, as a Filipino, like, teenager to, like, young adult. And I feel like that is part of the equation that helped me, like, approach things from a different angle. Like, I think a lot of people see their differences, or the differences they have in, say, like, culture or whatever, like, race, orientation, etc., as things that limit them. Sure. But maybe this is an idealistic view, but I feel like it's specifically my differences that gave me the edge in, like, I don't know, attacking things from a different direction. Like, I feel like, especially for creative things, it's like, it's the work that you've last done, or the stuff that's got you noticed. It's like you have to do something that makes people notice, like, why you, right? Yeah. And I feel like my culture is that spice that makes people go, like, oh, okay, yeah, that's Dave. And the parts that people are going, like, oh, that's Dave's art, or that's Dave's voice, that's definitely owed to my upbringing, which I think is from a different place than I think a lot of other people.
Sure. Well, we mentioned it before. Underrated food. Just gonna switch the topic real quick.
Underrated food. The first thing that I thought of when I saw that question was uni.
Oh yeah, which every white person you talk to is like, it's weird.
I'll be honest. Like, the first time I ate uni, like, when I was a kid, I was like, "Oh, this is fucking bird shit."
Well, the first time I ate uni, I had bad uni, so it was just like, "Oh, this is not good. This wouldn't have been good no matter what." Okay, I tease because yes, uni, it's if you've never had it, yeah, it's certainly very, like, whoa, like, this is different, right? Especially if you're not used to, like, really sort of briny flavors, or, like that sort of thing. But I agree with you. I mean, obviously in the culinary world, it's not underrated. In fact, maybe it's maybe they use it a little too much. But for the average, like, eater, oh yeah, I think the general reaction is like, it tastes too weird. It's like, no, it's delicious, man. It's fucking one of the best.
It's basically like the gaminess, like whatever gamey is applied to, like, sea, like marine creatures or whatever.
I'd say, like, brininess is probably the best way to describe it, right?
It's like eating, like, a fish's, like, crotch, They'll really make you want to eat it, right?
It's just like a big old fish dick is what what uni is like.
Good old
That's
fish
why I like it anyway.
But, I only eat fish because I want to, I don't know what that
Let's
means.
see. I have one. This isn't underrated, but for some reason I just always want this. And sometimes it's dog shit, sometimes it's pretty good, but it's I'm going to say just a Caesar salad. Like I I
Mm.
love Caesar salad, and if it's ever an option at like even the shittiest restaurant, I'm like, you know, give me the side Caesar salad. Let's see how it is. And sometimes it's really good because they actually make it right, and sometimes it's basically ranch on like on
Yeah,
dog shit.
yeah.
It's like, but when you can get a really good one, there's like actual like anchovy in there, which I know it's debatable. Oh, did the original have anchovy or whatever? But for me, I like the anchovy. Like, are there actual egg yolks being used in there? Okay, they're clearly somebody's actually trying here. It's pretty fucking good. That's
Oh
that's
yeah,
one. That's one for
I
me.
I agree completely. That's funny because I just made Caesar salad the other day,
Mm-hmm.
like 2 days ago, and yeah, it's that thing where I feel like making my own Caesar salads have sort of they've ruined me a little on like ordering it at other places
Mm.
because having a bad Caesar salad is it's still good. It's never I'm never like ugh gross like I'll be honest like even if you gave me like lettuce with a crap load of ranch on it I'll be like okay I'll eat this.
Yeah, I'd
But
rather have that than like a really bad just tape like house salad or something.
yeah, like stuff that you'll find like on a buffet plate,
Right.
stuff that other food sits on. Like that's what those house salads feel like to me.
You got another one?
But
Underrated?
I mean, you already mentioned it, anchovies. Like I
Mm.
don't get all of the anchovy hate.
I think first off, people are just fucking babies when it comes to fish. Right, Jay? And then otherwise, there's also like they're very salty. Unless not all
Yeah,
of them, but you know what I mean. In general, they're kind of salty. And yes, the higher
yeah,
quality anchovies you get, the less salty they are. But I think that can be challenging for people because they're already put off by like, oh, ew, it's a fish, and then oh, ew, it's a strong flavor. Like I love anchovies. Like I think a couple months ago, I was like splurging on some pretty nice ones, like and
yeah. I remember
that
that.
was like heavenly. I was like, oh man, these are so good. I think a lot of people don't realize though, anchovies and fish sauce. If you just add that to like certain dishes, that's just pure umami flavor, baby. No
I
fishiness, just
think
deliciousness.
people associate like oh it's like a rotten fish or something like that
Mm,
with like the taste of an anchovy, but I think like if you add it to dishes like it's the best thing you can add to a dish like
yeah.
you said like it's umami and stuff
Mm,
and people I would say that people probably would never be able to detect it if it was in the right like quantity and proportion.
absolutely. Going off of that, I think maybe even I'm not gonna say more underrated, but actually I mean it could be sardines. I think that
Mm.
has a really negative like association. Like sardines, you think of like, oh, it's in a tin can, it's out of a garbage can. Like Oscar the Grouch eats sardines, and I think a lot of people think that sardines are gonna taste like how anchovies taste. I love both. Don't get me wrong, but sardines do not taste nearly as fishy and salt. And in fact, they're not that salty. They're just kind of like
Yeah,
nice, rich, like very tasty fish. Like you kind of like on the milder end, not like super salty at all. Packed in a good olive oil. They're very good. And like,
yeah.
have you ever tried sardines and avocado on toast? You ever tried that combination?
Oh hell yeah! I was gonna say when you were talking about anchovies I was gonna say that one of my favorite like a childhood snack that my dad always had that I ended up loving was like having like a roll or a piece of bread, just putting some like just spreading some butter on it, and then just
Mm,
putting like a fucking like sardine in olive oil.
yeah.
Like just bite into that, and then you dip your bread into the olive oil in the can. Oh God, so good.
It's fucking good.
Well, I mean, I was also thinking of chicken feet as well.
Yeah.
I was just tweeting about this morning. Like I just had dim sum this morning.
Yeah.
I didn't have chicken feet, but chicken feet is definitely one of the things where people hear foot and they're immediately like, keep that shit away from me. There's a chicken's toe is not entering this person's mouth.
Chicken feet are great. Good. See, I'll go back. I'll throw one back. Pig's feet are. I love pig's feet.
Yeah, pig's feet are great.
Anything with like a nice, that sort of. This won't sound appealing to people who don't know, but the gelatinous, sort of.
Yeah, the collagen.
The collagen. Like yeah, that meat. Oh, I mean. Oxtail is one of the that's one of my favorite meats of all time. Is just a good oxtail.
Hell yeah.
A lot of things we're describing though, like people in the in the know of food are like, yeah, of course, but for the average common person, because even like bone marrow like grosses people out, and I'm like, it's one of the most delicious things in the world. Like,
yeah, I hope you can open your heart someday and let yourself have a good time and just have some fucking bone marrow.
It's just meat butter.
So good.
Just meat butter inside all of us. You got any others? I'm looking at a thread right now on Reddit of what are supposedly underrated foods, and I'm like, these are not. Yeah, steak. That's so underrated. Yeah.
Yeah, steak. The most underrated food on earth.
Right.
Nobody likes a steak.
You got any others?
Let's see. I mean, it was. I would say like another one is like the tamale part of the crab, like the crab guts. Like coming to this country, it bewilders me. Like when people get crabs and stuff and lobsters and stuff, all they want is either the claw or the tail, and those are good. Don't get me wrong, but that's just like a supporting actor. The main event is all the shit, all like the brains and the guts and stuff. That is just I guess I'm calibrated if you like anchovies and oysters and like really rich sea things, briny things. Then that's the tamale of a crab is right up your alley.
I know I've brought this dish up to you many times, but I forget if you've actually had it. But ganjang, the raw crabs marinated in soy sauce. Have you had that?
It's so good. It's that is the ultimate way to experience a crab leg or like a limb, for example.
Yes.
Like it just breaks it down. It breaks it down and it breaks the proteins down in a way that it really is just like having like delicious like crab jello.
Yes, yeah, which
doesn't sound great,
but it's delicious.
How do you feel about? I mean, we've been on the food train. I don't mind staying on the food train. Like, what are the Maddie suggested this? Like, what are the best meals that you've ever eaten? What are the most memorable meals that you can remember having?
Okay. Most memorable meals.
It's hard because I feel like it's such a hard question to answer because I feel like somebody that nuts for food like as much as I do, like that happens all the time.
Yeah, and like so I think for me I have to separate this. It's like I'm not just gonna list off my favorite foods. I have to remember like
experiences.
I'm the type of food person where I love all food. So I've gone to like something like Providence, super expensive, really nice food. And that was one of the best meals I've ever had, for sure. It was very, very good. But at the same time, one of my favorite, I don't know, not a specific meal, but like sort of in that time frame, like it's like middle of winter in Michigan. Anne-Marie and I go over to the Steak and Shake. There's a cookie butter seasonal shake there. I get my double I get the double burger, just cheese, because I just want to taste the patties, the smashed patty, crispy patties and cheese. Again, the shoestring fries. Oh, I think maybe the first time I went to Steak and Shake and had that, that would be like one for me. I think not like 90% of these are gonna be like meals my mom made or have just coming in with a big platter of kalbi, or like. Back whenever we go there for like Thanksgiving or or Christmas actually, either one. Like, you know, she'll usually cook up some good shit. I will say, Dave, one of them is a meal that you made for me. Not one of them, but one that I remember is, remember you you did the sous vide on those steaks with the rice?
Yeah. Was that the one where with the egg yolk?
Yeah. That was really fucking good. That is still, no joke, one of my favorite steak meals I've had.
I won't be modest about it. I'm very proud of my
Your steaks are so good. And when I've gotten, because we've done like food trades in the past, whenever I get like the rice from you of like, hey, I made this fried rice with the steak drippings, oh my god, I jizz my pants. I'm like, fuck yes, like this is one of my favorite things to eat. For like, I mean, you cook a lot of great shit, but just the simplicity of just like, yo, here's some good fried rice cooked in steak drippings and fat. I love that shit.
I kind of like the rice more than the steak. Like, I like the byproduct more.
I can't say I like it more, but it's so good. And I think it stands out that, like, you know, I've had a lot of your great cooking, and it's all been excellent. But one of my favorites is that steak fried rice. Like, I can't get it. Like, I could just eat that forever. Like, it's so good.
But it's ruined me on like traditional steakhouses. Like, I can't go to regular steakhouses because to me, part of steak is having it with rice, and you know, hopefully with, you know, the drippings like the steak fried rice.
Yeah.
Going to a steakhouse and getting like mashed potatoes and like, you know, the horseradish sauce, etc., like the garlic crema or whatever, like, you know, that's good. It's good. But to me, it's still something that's like, I would much rather have it with a giant mouthful of like, you know, savory rice.
Oh, could you imagine if that was the standard? Like, you can get like, you know, here's the best ribeye you've ever had from a steakhouse, and here's some good ass fried rice with it. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why that's not more. Because when I went to Japan and when I went to Kobe to get Kobe beef, some A5, they made a garlic rice out of the steak drippings, and like I was like, of course, like, you know, I feel so validated that people are making this thing that I love to make, like at the absolute highest level of steak preparation.
You and I need to go to Japan because I need you to bring me to the best food places. But so now you answer the question, and what are some of your best meals or most memorable meals you've ever had?
So I'm going to omit my family memories, because I think it's a given that a person's most memorable meals are the meals that their mom or dad cooked them, or, you know, something like that. I would say that the first time I ever ate a spider roll was a mind-blowing experience to me. This was at a place in Philly that actually, when I moved back to the States, I ended up working at. You know, my first job in the States was a prep cook for a Japanese restaurant. It was called Genji at the time, but it's no longer there. It's called I think it's called Koi now. It's like, for any of you in Philly listening, it's around like 17th and Sansom. But they had a spider roll there, and I didn't know, like, sushi was always something that I was like, oh, this is good. But the first time I bit into that soft-shelled crab and, like, you know, the guts and stuff, and they made it with, like, you know, the burdock root and stuff, it was so good. Like, I could not fathom, like, something that I was like, I just wanted to eat this for the rest of my life. Another time was in San Francisco. One of the Korean restaurants that we frequented in San Francisco is called Hanil Kwan. I might be butchering that pronunciation, but their kalbi is it was so good. No, the stew, particularly kalbi chim? Yeah. Like it was so good. I mean, to me, that's become like, you know, that is like the gold standard in my head when I try to cook it. Like, I've cooked it a few times and I would say it's okay, but it doesn't, you know, measure up to that place. But that place was really good, and I'm really curious to know how it fares to people that grew up with the dish.
Though that for
Like, it
specifically
might
from
just
that
be
restaurant,
what's that?
specifically from that restaurant, you mean?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I would
yeah,
love to
yeah.
try it. Yeah, you know me, I have a very high standard,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
anyone does if they grew up eating their, so. But I have no doubt that it's good for sure. I
It's one of those things that like that place was really it stuck out to me because there were always like one or two tour buses, Korean tour buses
mm,
that parked outside of it because that's where all that's what they I guess before or after their tours they would eat there, and that was
mm,
one of the things that tipped us off to like, oh, I think we should eat here.
yeah,
Like like boatloads, like busloads of people are coming just for the food. Of like OG people are going for the food, so I think it's
that's
must be
always a
good.
good sign. Yeah.
And one of the other like I feel like so many fine dining restaurants have been really amazing. Like we recently had En Naka, like the take
Yeah,
home,
yeah, yeah.
like the and that was so good. That was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I would say that it's pretty memorable, but in general, most like high end places haven't been so memorable to me, with one big exception, and that was Giro's. When we went to
Oh my
Giro's,
god, I'm so jealous of you.
we went to Giro's because like as soon as we watched Jiro Dreams of Sushi in like 2012, me and some friends in San Francisco, we were like, we're gonna get reservations. Like we're calling up right now and we're reserving for like 6 months down the line, and we're taking a trip to Japan so we can go
Yeah.
there. And it was such a crazy experience. Like the food was good. I know that we've talked about this
No, but
before,
please
right?
describe it. Describe it for the listeners.
So, I mean, I think the important thing with eating sushi in Japan, for example, is that at least for people that are on one of the coasts and people that have access to good fish, sushi grade
Mm-hmm.
fish, you'll be pleasantly surprised to find out that the sushi in Japan is better,
Mm-hmm.
without a
Mm-hmm.
doubt. But it's not
Yeah, it's not
tremendously
that
better.
much
Like
better, like
it's
compared to like some really good
it's
places here. Yeah.
I was going into having sushi in like Japan thinking like, oh, is this going to ruin me on American sushi? And it absolutely does not. In fact, it sort of elevated like my respect for it, because I thought like, oh wow, really high class sushi is readily available. I mean, at least in like LA or like San Francisco or
Mm.
on the coast. Like I'm sure that that's true for any place that has good fish. Any place you can get good fish in the States will probably have good sushi grade. You'll probably get some good sushi around that area too.
Right.
But so we went to Giro's, and it was terrifying because, I mean, one, it cost about $350 for the whole per person
Mm.
for the whole experience. It was like a 15-course sushi dinner,
Mm.
and I think pound for pound or grain of rice by grain of rice, that's probably one of the most expensive meals that you could pay for.
Mm.
Like $350 versus what you are actually getting mass wise, like stuff that like, is this going to fill your belly, etc., etc. Like it's really, really expensive.
Yes.
But I would say that it's not so much, you're not getting like, it's thinking of it as just something that will fill your belly is probably the wrong way to go about thinking about it. It's
Right.
like, I think it's more like you're paying for a show, because in each of those 15 courses, since we're foreigners, like he had somebody to translate for us.
Mm-hmm.
He told us where each of the fish came from. He gave us teas to pair with it.
Wow.
He gave us appetizers to cleanse the palate that were specifically made for the fish that we were about to have.
Fuck.
So we were tremendous. We were taken care of in such a good way. It's like to testament to like how observant he is. Like he noticed right away that I was the person that was like sort of translating, or the person that was like speaking, because like I speak pretty passable conversational Japanese.
Sure.
Like I'm no expert, but I can get around and I can talk to people in Japan.
Mm.
And so he identified that immediately, and he seated me like like right in the middle. Just so you know, when he would talk to me, when the guy would talk to me, that it would be reaching all of us. He didn't want it to be a situation where the translator would be talking to one end of the table.
Right.
You know, and he also noticed which one. We had 2 people in our 4-person group that were left-handed. He picked up on that as well and seated them accordingly, just so that, like, you know, there wouldn't be any, like, you know, clashes or bumps when he gave out the sushi and stuff. Like, that level of attention to detail, like, oh, this is why this is a 3 Michelin star, like, restaurant. And, of course, the fish was amazing. The sushi was incredible. And that egg, the tamagoyaki, like, it was incredible. Like, I will never have sushi like that, you know, for as long as I live. It was so good. But I felt fully taken care of. Like, it was we were eating for about like an hour and a half. And I would say paying that much for that hour and a half private show, like, I would say it's more than worth it.
Oh, yeah. That sounds absolutely worth it.
I mean, I think some people would get caught up on the price and, like, you know, just sushi. Like, I like the sushi right here. Like, why would I have to go to Japan and, you know, do this really expensive thing when, you know, I can find good sushi anywhere? And it's not really about the sushi. It's about the entire experience.
Although, I'd say it's also about the sushi. I want to eat that sushi.
But I told you about the interview, like the autographing thing. Right?
The autographing thing? Maybe. Remind me.
There was an incident. Like, so I wasn't going to go to Japan and to Jiro's without getting an autograph from the man himself, right? So after our meal, I was like, hey, can I get your autograph? And so I had my sketchbook with me, and I brought up my sketchbook, and he was like, oh, yeah, I'll sure, I would love to sign your book. And so I gave it to him, and then I was giving him my brush pen, and he looked at me, and he scoffed. He was like, I don't need that. Well, and then he clapped. He went, and one of the employees, like, he had his special calligraphy, like, you know, signing brush. He was like, oh, no. I don't sign with your peasant brush. I've got my own.
Shit, you did not tell me
And so it was in, like, a gold foil box, and he took it out, and, like, he dipped it in the ink, and he was like, shoo, shoo, shoo. Wow. And it was like the perfect signature. It was so badass.
I hope you have that framed or something.
Well, I mean, the more interesting part of the story is that right before we went to Japan, I was like, oh, this is the sketchbook that I'm taking. And one of my friends played a prank on me, and he printed out a decal of a really thick, like, cock, like a really veiny, like really crude looking dick. Like, it was thick, it was like hairy, and like it was chody. It was like, it was a very disgusting, ugly looking goblin dick. And it was plastered on the front of my sketchbook. It was the only thing on the cover of my sketchbook. And so when I brought out the sketchbook, I was very careful to, like, take it out and, like, flip it to an empty page and be like, here, sign this. Because I didn't want him to see the fucking dick.
Right.
And so he signed it, and when he was done signing it, he closes the book and hands it back to me. And when he closes the book, he closes it dick side up and is just staring at this giant wiener. And he looks at it, and like, it takes him like a second, then he looks back up at me and he's like, what is this? He's like, like, Nani. Like, he was just like, and I was scolded. Like, you know, I could feel his eyes pierce through me, but he looked at me and he said that, and I was like, I'm sorry. Like, he looked at me like, you didn't deserve my signature. Like, like, I could tell that that's exactly what he was thinking. He had that sort of look in his eye where he was like, you're real lucky.
Yeah.
You're a real lucky guy, because if I had seen this shit prior, then you would not have gotten.
Wow.
You wouldn't have gotten my signature. So I apologized, and he laughed it off. He was like, "Fucking Americans, you go on, you crazy kids." and that was our experience, and it was great because the person who did it to me, like to put that sticker on, he's got like the most shrill, annoying laughter like that I've ever like. It's just like like that kind of a laugh.
Yeah.
And so when he turned and when he paused and he was like, "Hey, what is this?" He started laughing, and I was like, it was like insult to injury. I was like, the entire trip in Japan, like I was so like trying to be as mindful as I could to not be the loud, annoying foreigners. And this was like, this was a private thing, but for him to see the dick, look at me, and then hear shrill cackling, I was like, oh, fuck.
In front of Jiro.
In front of me.
Oh,
yeah. It was, I mean, we definitely got our money's worth. I will say that was definitely worth the price of admission.
damn.
But yeah, that was our trip to Giro's. It was fucking great.
I'm so jealous. Well, this has been great. I'm gonna have you on again for sure. So, but before we sign up, where can people find you?
You can find me online underneath, with the handle Scrotum Nose.
Wait,
what?
Your
what
username is Scrotum Nose?
Do you have a scrotum for a nose?
He actually does. That's why it is.
Yeah, that's why we're friends. It's Scrotum Nose. It's surprisingly nobody's taken that name across social medias. So you can find me there on Twitter, on Tumblr, anything like Instagram, like Twitch, everything. If you look for Scrotum Nose, I'm the only person that you're going to find. I promise. Like I was saying, I work in animation. I work for the show Craig of the Creek. It's a really good show. It's really funny. It's made with a lot of heart by a crew that like really loves the show, like me included. So if you haven't seen it, I would say give it a watch because it's it definitely feels like a show. It feels like it fills a void that would be there if it was not around.
Yeah.
Like it definitely fills like a spot in a cartoon ecosystem.
Yeah.
Like we don't have enough cartoons that are like strictly about like family and family relationships and that hit the way that Craig does. To me it feels like an anime like sort of like Pete and Pete.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that show.
Yeah, it's very good.
So give it a watch.
Yeah.
If you're into that. Otherwise, if you find like I'm mostly on Twitter. I do draw, I promise, but you'll probably see more cooking, pictures. Like I post shit that I cook, way more than I actually post.
What you'd expect from the Sato of Twitter.
Oh yeah, that's me, Sato. Fucking Jay.
Oh man! All right, thank you very much, my friend.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you thank you the internet or wherever podcasts are aired. Like thank you for listening to me ramble for over an hour.
Yeah, thank the internet. Yeah.
Good job, internet.